What is going on? My name is Ben. Today is episode number 10 of Colo Tolo, where we speak and learn Argentine Spanish. The first half of our meeting, and the second half we speak and learn American English. So right now I'm waiting for my friend Will. He's about to come in, and it was Will's birthday on July 30th. So I'm going to say happy birthday as soon as he connects. And today is a nice day here in New London, New Hampshire. I played soccer earlier, but now it's raining. Nonetheless, it's a great day. So being positive here, and I'm waiting for Will. I'm going to speed this up. And here's Will. So happy birthday, Guillermo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Guillermo. Happy birthday to you. New haircut. Wow.
Gracias.
You look great, man.
Gracias. No, el corte de pelo fue muy necesario con el calor con el verano. Perdón. Pero gracias. ¿Pensás que me veo más joven con pelo más corto? Porque algunos me dicen que sí y otros me dicen que me veo más viejo, quizás, o algo, que tengo una edad más alto.
Sí, yo creo que te queda...
No, perdón, sería una edad mayor, ¿no? No sería alto para mí.
No, yo creo que te queda mejor porque no te hace viejo, sino que te hace más maduro, más de tu edad o unos años más grande, porque cuando sos más joven tenés un pelo muy grueso, ¿no? Todos tenemos, los hombres particularmente tenemos el pelo muy grueso, y eso es una indicación de ser joven, vamos a decir, ¿no? O sea, yo, por ejemplo, tengo el pelo largo, pero como no es grueso, va con mi edad, vamos a decir, ¿no? Pero creo que el pelo, ese corte te queda muy bien y te hace, para mí, te hace ver más grande, ¿no? Pero no viejo, sino más grande, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Dale, perfecto.
Sí,
y una cosa, primero gracias de nuevo por el mate nuevo. Ahora no tengo yerba, necesito comprar algo, una bolsa nueva de yerba, pero si hubiera tenido la yerba, yo estaría tomando con el mate nuevo, pero sí, ahora solo sería agua porque no tengo nada más. Pero gracias, es
no, de nada.
Una belleza.
Me vine preparado por si tenías tu mate, y tengo acá el termo y un mate.
Mira vos, ok.
Voy a tomar unos mates virtuales con mi amigo Will.
Sí.
Así que este va por vos. Ahí empecé a tomar mate. Yo no tomaba mate, pero leí hace poco que tomar mate ayuda a bajar de peso. Así que estoy tomando acá un mate. Este es un mate nuevo. No tenía mate yo, así que tuve que comprar. Y compré este también, que está muy bueno, pero es como que es muy grande, vamos a decir, ¿no? Entonces, el mate tenés que, por lo que aprendí en YouTube, tenés que ponerle 3/4 de yerba. Y esto, si le pongo 3/4 de yerba, es medio kilo de yerba, entonces no lo voy a seguir usando. Este es más chiquito, pero bueno, funciona bien para mí. Así que a ver si bajo de peso tomando mate.
Y esa bombilla es como 1 kilómetro. Es muy, muy
Sí, sí.
largo.
Sí, en realidad esta bombilla era para un mate de este tamaño,
Claro.
pero lo que pasa es que como este es de madera y no quería rayarlo con la otra bombilla, tengo esta otra bombilla que está buena, que lo que tiene, no sé si se ve ahí está. Lo que tiene es que la podés desenroscar así y es fácil de limpiar, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Genial.
Así que, pero bueno, esta, como es así, tiene esta forma, me rayaba el mate, ¿no? Así que compré la otra, que es una bombilla chata. Y bueno, eso. No me gustan los mates de calabaza porque los mates de calabaza se te pueden pudrir y te pueden tener, ¿cómo se dice? Hongos, ¿no? Puede
No,
crecer
claro.
hongos.
Sí, sí, sí.
Entonces, eso, pero estoy reaprendiendo. Tengo a mi amigo Tony que me dijo que este es el termo que usan en Argentina. La mayoría de los argentinos es como, usan esta marca, ¿no? De
Sí,
mates, Stanley.
sí, uso Stanley también.
Yo no sabía, así que compré acá un Stanley de 1.5 algo. No sé, es bastante grande, ¿no? Un termón.
Sí, y sí, y es bien hecho algo de Stanley. Es un metal muy, muy duro.
Sí, sí, no, me encanta. Voy a comprar otro, pero más chico, porque mira lo que es este, que es grande, grande. Así que no, voy a comprar uno más chico.
Claro. Y una cosa que quiero preguntarte es, eh, ¿alguna vez has usado o has eh, sí, usado un slip and slide, se llama? Eh,
Sleeping Slides.
Slip and slide. Es,
Esa es buena lección. Enséñame por qué. No sé qué.
ok, no sé, sí, no sé si se usa o si existe en Argentina, pero es una cosa acá. Es posible que hayas usado un slip and slide, pero eh, no se usaba ese nombre, porque puede ser algo como una marca o algo así. Em, pero es como una lona que pones en el patio o fuera de tu casa entre como, no sé, 10 15 metros, sí. Em, y podés, usas, ¿cómo se llama? Detergente o como lavaplatos y un poco de agua y uno se puede deslizar encima de la lona y es algo muy divertido durante de los veranos con niños, pero con adultos también. Y es algo que yo hice con unos amigos para mi cumpleaños hace un par de días, pero ahora me duele todo el cuerpo porque es como estás eh, deslizando y es como una salta y después deslizas, pero hasta después de como 2, 3, 4 veces es como, me duele el espalda, los brazos, todo. No sé si me expliqué bien,
Sí,
eh, pero es súper divertido y no sé si podéis googlear
sí.
una imagen.
No, sí, vi muchos videos en YouTube de gomas. Gomas, ¿sabes la palabra gomas?
Sí,
¿Qué significa
gomas, claro.
goma? Muchos gomas ahí haciendo eso en YouTube. Y sí, siempre me hubiese gustado tener uno y usarlo. Lo que pasa es que no tengo en my front yard, no es muy grande. Y, y el driveway, no sé si no me parece que no es bueno hacerlo en el driveway porque es todo
Uf,
pavement.
uf.
No,
Eso
no.
sería horrible.
Ah, ok, ok.
Eh,
Así
sí,
que, pero
no,
no, algún día espero hacerlo antes de morir.
claro. No, porque con la velocidad, digamos, que podés obtener o, no sé, como la...
Podés
una-
ganar.
sí, sí, sí. El césped o ¿usas la palabra césped en Argentina o es una palabra?
Césped,
Ok.
claro. Sí, 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 sí.
Eso puede, te,
Te haces mierda.
hace, sí, sería te hace dolor o te,
Ah,
te duele, te duele.
te,
Eh,
te
como
hace sufrir o te lastima.
te lastima, ok. Y eso es césped, pero como en la
Pavement.
calle o en tu driveway, eso, pff,
No me lo
olví-
aconsejas. No me lo
olvídalo.
aconsejas.
Eso es, eh, pero no, súper, súper divertido, te lo recomiendo.
Y
Y
bueno,
claro, tenés
esa
hijas
es.
y...
Esa
¿Cómo?
es una actividad que yo te pregunto porque vos sos un experto estadounidense y te pregunto si vos me podés dar un consejo de experto. Y es esa una actividad que se debe hacer, porque yo en YouTube vi muchos de esos videos y aparentemente esa es una actividad que se debe hacer bajo la influencia del alcohol. ¿Es verdad o no?
Pues primero, no soy médico, así que no. El, yo no tomo mucho alcohol, pero me parece que sería súper divertido. Ni importa si estás borracho o no. Así que la decisión es tuya, no sé. pero yo lo hice hace un par de días con amigos sin alcohol y me reí a
Divertido.
carcajadas, digamos, o de carcajadas. ¿Cómo es? De carcajadas.
Y
De ri-
hay que tomar un curso para desarrollar esa actividad o es algo que uno directamente viendo un video o cómo es hay un book con instrucciones, como es una... No es un arte marcial, por ejemplo, ¿no? Es una
No, no, no.
actividad de
Es,
verano.
es súper fácil y si no, si no tenés el conocimiento de usar una lona o eh, detergente o algo así, sí, creo que sería bien difícil, pero además de eso, estás listo.
Pero no es un deporte olímpico, ¿no?
Todavía no, pero sigo entrenando porque puede ser algún día, qué
Y
sé yo.
sí, si tenés ¿cómo se llama? Hay un deporte que es un deporte olímpico que me parece que respeto a toda la gente que hace ese deporte, pero me parece la estupidez más grande del mundo. Ese deporte, ¿cómo es que se llama? El que tiran un coso que se desliza y con la escobita van...
Ah, sí, curling.
Curling, curling.
Sí.
Curling, no sé, qué sé yo. La verdad que yo respeto a todo el mundo, pero la verdad que ser un atleta olímpico de curling, no sé, qué sé yo. Por eso te digo que ese deporte que vos haces, ¿cómo se llama? Bolsing, bolsing, o ¿cómo se llama el que hiciste en tu cumpleaños? Quizás se transforma en
Oh,
un deporte olímpico. Bolsing, ¿no? Porque es una bolsa, el
claro.
bolsing.
Eh, pero tenemos un dicho en inglés, es como cada persona tiene que hacer un pasatiempo o algo así, pero en inglés es everyone needs a hobby, así que sería como cada persona necesita un pasatiempo. Y eso es como, supongo que tiene que haber gente que juega curling, al curling. Um, pero sí, no. Hice o jugué curling, al curling unas veces en la universidad y es divertido, pero no tengo cancha en este deporte. Es bien difícil. Eh, así que no sé si es algo que sigo jugando.
Sí.
Eh,
Yo te cuento que hice un deporte que por primera vez en mi vida, a los 42 años de edad, el fin de semana pasado, y es una de las actividades más divertidas que hice en toda mi vida. Pasé uno de los mejores días de toda mi vida, y el deporte se llama, ¿Are you ready for this? Se
Sí.
llama foot golf.
Foot golf.
Foot golf. Así que hice foot golf por la primera vez y te digo que la pasé excepcional, es divertidísimo. Me cambió la vida, vamos a decir, ¿no? Me cambió la vida en el sentido de que espero volver a hacerlo pronto, y fue buenísimo, un día espectacular. Éramos 3 equipos y nosotros éramos el grupo número 1 y jugué con otros 2 muchachos que habían jugado ya mucho y uno tenía una camiseta que decía foot golf y tenía un tipo de pelotas de fútbol que son las más recomendadas para hacer foot golf, pero salen muy caras porque ya no se fabrican más. Es un modelo de Adidas que conseguir una pelota de esas nueva y sale más o menos $2.000. Ah,
Perdón,
dos
otra
mil
vez.
dólares. Una nueva, ¿no? En las usadas
No
podés
escuché
conseguirlas
bien.
sí, las usadas se pueden conseguir por $500 más o menos. Es la pelota más, esa es la The Holy Grail of foot golf. Pero bueno, yo jugué con una pelota Adidas y no, la pasé, ya te digo. Si alguna vez tenés la oportunidad, jugá, porque yo sé que vos me dijiste que jugaste al golf, ¿no?
Sí, unas veces, pero no, la verdad es que no soy un deportista de golf. O sea, no juego ah, al menudo o frecuentemente. Así que
Está
em,
bien, está bien.
es divertido, pero em, sí, es algo que no hago mucho, o que sea que
Ajá.
no, sí. Em, y creo que es todo, pero sí, un slip and slide es increíble. Y tus hijas lo van a
Lo voy a
encantar.
hacer, lo voy a hacer. ¿Y se pone una lona cualquiera o es una lona especial que se compra en Amazon?
Sí, podéis usar una lona cualquiera, creo, pero yo compré una en Amazon. Hay un montón de opciones con colores y unos son muy simples, solo con una lona nada más, y otros son como, no me acuerdo
Rubber.
la palabra, es
Goma.
inflable,
Inflable. Claro.
puedes
Claro.
poner aire en, por dentro y esos son muy divertido también, pero eh, salen un poco más plata.
¿Y
Eh,
cuál es el metraje?
eh,
Generalmente, ¿cuál es el metraje? ¿Qué tan largas son? ¿Es una en feet, que son 10
claro,
feet?
la que yo compré es como 30 pies, que sería como 10 eh, metros o algo así, creo. Eh, y eso es como un metraje normal, yo diría. Eh, pero como dije, hay un montón de opciones y tipos eh, diferentes, así que estoy seguro que puedes encontrar una que cabe bien en tu patio, lo que sea, o en el patio de un vecino o lo que sea.
Sí, sí.
Porque es muy buena. Pero bien, tengo algunos frases o cosas que escuché. No sé si no son preguntas, sino es algo interesante que yo escuché y solo quería charlar un poco con vos sobre cómo se usa y cosas así.
Ok.
Una, una cosa es la frase "y ese milagro", y fue usado en el contexto de como tanto tiempo, como una persona se, se une con un amigo, es como, ¿y ese milagro? ¿Cómo te va todo? Y para mí eso es como el significado de, hey, tanto tiempo, pero no sé si no entendí correctamente. ¿Es algo que vos decís o que has escuchado como, y ese milagro, como tanto tiempo?
Sí, escuché, pero yo no es una expresión que yo uso y si la usé en algún momento no me acuerdo, pero no es algo común, vamos a decir. Puede ser que sea una expresión más reciente, ¿no? Pero yo en realidad no recuerdo usarla y tampoco, no me acuerdo escucharla tampoco, ¿no? Como decir, cuando ves un amigo decís, es un milagro, o, ¿no? Es así, como es la expresión que...
Y ese milagro es como en la forma de una pregunta, como, ¿y ese milagro? Che, ese milagro. Para mí, sí, es como, che, tanto tiempo, ¿cómo anda? Todo bien. Algo
Sí.
así. En inglés sería como, look who it is, o what do you know, o algo, no
Ah, what
sé.
do you know? Okay.
Es como algo de sorpresa. Esa palabra siempre me mata. Sorpresa. Ok. Es un trabalengua para mí. Sorpresa. No sé por
Sí.
qué. Siempre hay palabras que, eh, que no me sale bien. Eh,
Sí.
pero bueno, eh, sí, y ese milagro me parecía muy gracioso. Y ese milagro.
Y ese
eh,
milagro. Sí, hay una frase que se dice, hay una frase que se usa en Argentina y que yo creo que se usa también en otros países que es donde se habla español, que la frase es, la práctica hace al maestro.
la práctica hace al maestro. Sí, es muy parecido a practice makes perfect, es lo que
Right,
decimos en
right,
inglés.
that's right.
Bueno, el maestro. Sí. Sorpresa.
Sorpresa.
Um, y la, la segunda expresión es me voy al sobre. Eso
Ah,
es
me voy a
algo
sobre, sí.
que Dustin me enseñó.
Sí, sí,
Eh,
sí.
es solo como, no sé, irse a dormir o
Me voy a
va,
sobre. Claro.
va a descansar.
Sí, sí. Sí, esa sí es una expresión que yo siempre usé y que se puede decir, vos podés decir, se fue al sobre, ¿no? Si estás con un amigo y tu amigo se fue a dormir una siesta, no, se fue al sobre un rato y después vuelve, una cosa así, ¿no? Si se fue a hacer una siesta pequeña.
Bueno, al sobre, eso es como,
Sí,
no entiendo de dónde viene.
eso viene de que en realidad el ratoncito duerme en un sobre porque no tiene cama. Un ratoncito duerme en un sobre porque no tiene cama, ¿no? Entonces, el sobre es como una cama con las frazadas y ahí pones, por eso me fui al sobre, porque uno parece que está dentro de un sobre, ¿no? En envelope.
Ah, ok. yo pensé que sobre es como como una bolsita que lleva una mujer, como no sé,
Una cartera. Una
sí,
cartera.
como una cartera. Em,
No, sobre es envelope, like a
ok,
mailing envelope.
interesante. Así que me voy a dormir en un envelope.
Claro.
Em, y gracioso. Ok, sí, no, es algo que no sé si escuché cuando estuve en Argentina, eh, pero bueno, es muy gracioso. Y si es algo que vos decís,
Sí.
voy a
Sí,
tratar de usarlo
aparte
más en este
mi
solo.
mamá, mi mamá también, cuando mi papá, cuando hablamos por Skype, generalmente hablamos los sábados a la noche y bueno, muchas veces mi viejo, como ya está grande, tiene 87 años, 88 años, muchas veces se duerme, vamos a decir, ¿no? Mientras yo hablo con ellos o con mi mamá, se queda dormido, vamos a decir, ¿no? Y mi mamá me dice, no, se fue, tu papá se fue al sobre, me dice, ¿no? O sea, la
Buenísimo.
expresión.
Ok, bueno. Otra cosa que justo me hiciste acordar, vi un video, es una entrevista a Kun Agüero, y él está hablando sobre su relación con Messi, y es como cuando están en el mismo cuarto en un hotel.
De la
eh,
concentración.
¿Cómo?
Se llama cuando están en la concentración, o sea, en la concentración, concentration, es el proceso donde los jugadores de un equipo o de una selección se juntan y están sin ver a la familia por una semana o por 2 semanas, o están concentrados para el partido, vamos a decir, ¿no? O sea, entrenan, comen, se bañan, duermen ahí, y eso se llama la concentración. Entonces ellos comparten habitaciones y qué sé yo, el compañero de Agüero siempre fue Messi hace 20 años
Ok,
y cada uno elige su compañero, o si no tiene compañero, el técnico te asigna un compañero. Pero es eso, la concentración, estar concentrados, ¿no?
ok, dale, perfecto. Eh, el, y es una entrevista y Agüero está contando contando un cuento, una historia, y es como eh, a veces él se queda dormido y mientras, eh, pero el tele todavía, se olvida apagar el televisor, y es como Messi siempre es como, che, no puedo dormir así, ¿y por qué no apagas el tele? Y es como, sí, Leo, no sé, y es como son una pareja, como eh, son, ¿cómo se dice? Oh, se me escapó la palabra, es muy fácil. Oh, horrible, voy a te captes. ¿Cómo se llama? Es
¿Cómo es en
uh,
inglés? En inglés.
like a couple,
Couple.
or they're married, yeah.
Ah,
Casados, I guess you say casados, right?
sí,
Casados conmigo, son
claro.
casados.
El matrimonio,
El matrimonio, algo así. Es
como un matrimonio, se
como un
puede decir.
matrimonio, que Kun Agüero, sí, se queda dormido y eh, se queda dormido, pero Messi no puede dormir así. Con la voz de Kun Agüero es muy gracioso, muy graciosa, eh, pero tenés que verlo porque es mucho mejor que lo que yo eh, dije o expliqué. es genial, pero porque dijiste como me quedo dormido, eso me
Hay una,
hizo acordar.
hay un streamer que es muy, viste que Agüero es streamer también, ¿no?
Sí, sí.
Hay un streamer muy famoso, el streamer más famoso de España, ¿no? Que se llama Ibai. No sé si.
Ibai, sí, 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 sí.
Y siempre son amigos, ¿viste? Con Agüero. Y tienen muchos streams y esos están buenos porque ellos tienen muy buena onda y son muy divertidos esos streams.
Y
Y,
sí, sí, son geniales. Y yo
pero
vi
ahí
un...
cuando ves uno de esos, fíjate porque ahí vas a poder ver el acento argentino y el acento español, ¿no?
Claro.
No sé si cuando lo veas, me imagino que te das cuenta cómo es el acento español, lo podés
Sí, sí, sí,
distinguir.
sí, sí. Eh, pues joder, tío, no, claro, no es
Claro.
él. No, oídme, no. Em, pero, pero sí, y yo vi unos videos o unos streams con Agüero y Neymar, y es, em, es increíble porque con Agüero trata de hablar en portugués, pero es posible que él hable bien en portugués, pero no creo. No sé no sé hablar portugués, pero no me suena natural, así que creo que es algo eh, muy gracioso porque es, es como una mezcla de portugués y español, como eh,
Claro, el portuñol.
espangués o algo así.
Sí.
Eh,
El portuñol, se dice el portuñol.
portuñol, genial, sí, eso, así es. Eh, pero bueno, y tengo una expresión más, eh, y también es una que Dustin me enseñó, y él me dijo que no se usa mucho hoy en día, es algo más vieja, pero tengo
Ah,
noni,
tengo noni. Tengo
tengo
noni,
noni.
claro. Sí, sí. Tengo noni, sí. Sí, eso es tengo sueño y bueno, tengo noni es. Sí, significa. Es es kind of a cute way to say tengo sueño.
Ok. Y sí,
Esa
ok.
es una expresión que se usa también con chicos, ¿no? Con chicos, tengo noni.
Tengo noni.
Tenés noni. Mi mamá me decía cuando yo era chiquito, tenés noni, ¿no? Tenés noni.
Tenés noni. ¿Y sabes de dónde viene noni? ¿Es algo de Italia?
Ah, la verdad que no, la verdad que no, no sé si viene del italiano o noni, viene de sueño, que sueño es una palabra difícil para los chicos de decir y en vez de decir sueño dicen ñoñi, ñoñi, noni, no sé, la verdad que no sé, no sé realmente, ¿no? Pero eh, noni se dice también sueñito, tengo sueñito, a un nene le decís tenés sueñito o tengo sueñito, en vez de tengo sueño, tengo sueñito y quizás noni viene de sueñito, no sé, la verdad es que no sé, I'm only guessing, pero
Está bien, no, no, está bien. No, no se ve como una palabra española, así que
funny que es. Ok,
bueno.
Jesus.
Sobreviviste, ¿eh?
Reviví, sí, sí, sí. No, y ya se fue ahí. Miraba, no sé si se escuchaba desde ahí los truenos, pero miraba ahí tengo una ventana ahí atrás de la monitor y miraba y de repente, bueno, cayó uno grande ¡Pum!
Lo que pasó, pasó, ¿eh?
Pasó.
Hace un par de días había no sé, había un tornado muy cerca de mi casa durante una tormenta y no, no fue un tornado enorme, pero fue un tornado igual, así que muy, muy peligroso. Es la primera vez que me acuerdo donde había eh, había, había un tornado en Nueva Jersey, así que es una locura. Pero bueno, si estamos grabando de nuevo,
Señor, sí, señor. Dale gas.
pues no sé qué íbamos a decir, pero no tengo nada más en mi lista sobre español, así que
Okay.
em, podemos cambiar
Vamos
a
a hacer
inglés
el
si te
switch.
cabe.
Y me quedo
O
así.
¿qué es lo que me enseñaste? Como no es, no, no debería usar te cabe
¿Te
como
cabe? No, está bien.
detrás de la frase, sino como te cabe si cambiamos a inglés o algo así. Si no me...
Sí,
no.
se puede decir, la entonación es importante en cuanto al orden de la frase. Por ejemplo, puedes decir, te cabe, che, si te cabe,
Sí te
pasamos
cabe.
al inglés. No, che, si te cabe, pasamos al inglés. O puedes decir, pasamos al inglés, te cabe. O sea,
Ok.
la podés usar adelante o atrás, pero la entonación le da sabor.
Que pique,
Le
que
da el
pique.
sabor. Sí, sí, sí. Así que sí, eso, no, está bien dicho, lo dijiste muy bien, alumno. Alumno Guillermo. Eh,
A veces hablo bien, pero a veces no.
no,
Como,
sos un maestro, un
como
capo.
giro de la moneda.
Antes de ayer estaba editando el episodio que hicimos hace 2 semanas y todavía lo sigo editando. Y en un momento vos me hiciste una pregunta y mencionaste casados con hijos, ¿no? Y yo nunca había visto casados con hijos, ¿no? Así que bueno, como vos mencionaste casados con hijos, yo le pongo fotos y gráficos a las ediciones. Fui a buscar casados con hijos y vi el primer episodio. Vi 5 minutos del primer episodio de Casado con Hijos. Así que bueno, tengo ahora una idea más o menos de cómo es el show, ¿no? Y de los actores. Así
Sí,
que
es, es el Guillermo, ¿cómo se llama su apellido? Franchella, claro. El Guillermo Franchella, así, él es el rey de todo
sí.
esa serie. Pero bueno, eh, ok. Mm, do the change to English. Woo! You do your magical editing.
There you
Like
go. Ahí está.
use the screen this way and then come back in this way. um,
How you doing? How the hell are you doing?
I'm I'm getting by. That's another way. It's another good response you do. Getting by. You know,
Getting by.
it's like
Is,
you're
is everything
still surviving.
okay?
You know.
Everything okay, or is
Oh
everything
yeah,
all right?
yeah. No. It's sort of like a just a. It's sort of just like a funny way of saying like I'm still alive. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
I woke up again today, so all is good. At least that's how I use it. It's kind of like well maybe not. I'm getting by. I'm getting by is kind of more like
It's
You
like
know,
something's wrong, right? Kind of if something's wrong.
it can have that. I guess it sort of depends on how you use it. I was trying to use it sort of sarcastically, but if someone was really like, "Yeah, I'm getting by," it's like that they're, um, they're not doing great, but they're, like things are going.
Right.
But yeah, I always sort of use it as a joke, like, "Oh, I'm getting by." I hear a lot of people say that, but I don't usually use it, so I was kind of making fun of them. But anyway, yeah, I'm getting by.
Good.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm tired because so today we had rain and thunderstorms around 4 5 p.m. It was like the forecast was saying that for like the last 3 days. So I typically play soccer on Sundays at 4 p.m. So we have a group. One of the groups I play soccer with is from Norwich, Vermont, and we use this app called Signal, and you can send messages. So we message. There's a group of 60 something people, and we message everybody. And what they were saying yesterday was like, well, why don't we play at 1 p.m. instead of 4? Because at 4 we're supposed to get rain and thunderstorms. Sure. So, basically everybody agreed and we play at 1 p.m. today. So the thing is, like, I really have these super monsters, which is a cartoon that my daughters watch time in, a schedule. And so we are typically with the girls, we go to bed really, 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 really late. Like, I'm talking about 3, 4 in the morning. And so for me, waking up at 11 a.m. was kind of a stretch because I have like basically a second shift or a third shift schedule.
Right. Yeah.
And so last night I slept for 2 hours and 50 minutes. So I was able to wake up at 11 a.m. so I could get ready and, just get my stuff for soccer because I need to get my waters ready. I need to have a coffee. I need to dress. So that takes me about at least 40 minutes, until I'm actually ready to go.
Right.
And
if you only slept for 2 hours, it's more like you slept in an envelope than an actual bed. That's
right.
what that sounds like.
Yes.
Sorry. Bad joke.
Yeah, no, basically, yeah, it's like it felt like I slept in an envelope because I'm like, just two and I mean, the thing is, like, it's difficult to sleep earlier. It's more difficult for me to fall asleep if I need to. If last night I knew I had to wake up at 11 o'clock, but even if I go to bed at a certain time, I just can't sleep. I'm like really awake, And so it was just a transition night, where you sleep less, and then tonight I'm gonna go to bed earlier. And so yeah, other than that, no, I played food golf, and I've been editing the videos. I need to finish editing my third movie that I shot. I started to shoot it 3 years ago, and I still have one more scene I need to shoot. And so then I need to edit the full movie. When I have a full cut, I need a final cut. I need to send that to the composer who's gonna make the score for the movie, and it's gonna take him at least a month. But I hope to finally finish my movie this year, during 2021. I have to get it done because, again, I started shooting it 3 years ago, and it's like I'm just you get sick of those projects. You really want to get them done. And no, other than that, I don't know what else I can tell you. We refinanced our mortgage on Thursday, and that's something we did, and so we are good for the next 30 years.
And I'm curious, in
If I'm
something
still
like that, in a situation like that, are there a lot of terms that like if you're doing something complex like talking to a bank or talking about money, mortgages, is that something that you have to kind of like ask, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Or do you feel pretty good with that stuff? I feel like that's got to be, I can't imagine that's easy stuff to do, because like, I know I read like information from banks and stuff on that, and I'm like, what does that even say? So I can't even imagine, for someone.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, not so much. Yes, occasionally there is a word or a term I don't understand. Oftentimes, those terms, my wife doesn't understand them either, because sometimes they're very, very legal terms. However, many of the words used are also very similar in Spanish. And
Okay.
I do have my dad worked for the Supreme Court in Argentina, and I grew up with legal what is it called, legal jargon.
Jargon, nice. Yeah, that's a good word.
And yeah, so I kind of grew up with those words. So I kind of I have a decent understanding. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think I have a decent understanding of those terms and contracts, and as you know, business is a business, so a bank is not going to lose money. It's just like basically a good way. A way I look at it is like, a bank always going to screw you up. So the thing is like, how much are they going to screw you up?
Yeah.
So as long as they don't screw you too much, and screw you is kind of a little sarcastic, because I understand that business, they need to make money, but if you think about the deal that you're getting, they're making money out of us. They're making like $6,000. But again, it was like a fixed rate for the next 30 years at 4%. So we have to refinance, because next year our mortgage was going to change from fixed to variable. And then, as you know, when it changes to a variable rate, it can go from 4% to 28%.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good deal for us. We had to do it anyway. We had to pay for it, but I think it also depends on the time, how the market is, what the rates are. So depends when you're doing it too. So I think it was a good time for us to do it. Now I think it's a good time to refinance or to buy, a property. The thing is, like, because it's a good time to buy, I don't know if you know, but now the real estate market is crazy. There's like no properties. A property comes out, people go buy it immediately.
Right
now, So, that's yeah.
Yeah, because I think we talked about it a few weeks ago when you were at the doctor's. Same thing. Like if you're in a situation like that where it's like more jargon and terms, like if it's something that you have a harder time understanding. Like I remember when I had to go get my visa in Argentina, some of that stuff, like filling out paperwork and forms and all that, was like, I had to ask a lot of questions. Like, can you just explain this a little bit more? So
yeah,
I can only imagine
something that
a mortgage on a house. It's probably, you got to make sure you understand everything. You don't want to be signing something that you're like, I don't know what that said.
Right. Yeah, something that it's always been helpful to me about contracts and about the small print. It's a very simple technique, and that helped me. And it's basically, you have to read it out loud. Just read it out loud, line by line. And so do you understand that if you read it out loud? Now, if you read it to yourself, sometimes you miss things. But if you actually read it out loud, you don't have to scream. But if you just read it, contracts are pretty understandable for most people who have like a normal or a decent amount of education. So
Right.
Now, especially most of the contracts we typically are going to handle, you and I as a civilian. Now, when you get into commercial contracts, where sometimes I was talking with one of my friends, he was telling me, I was zooming with one of my friends who said he's the writer of the movie, the screenplay that I'm making a movie now. He's a lawyer, so he was telling me that when you get into commercial contracts and you are actually negotiating 30 different mortgages, for example, then that gets complicated because you can negotiate a rate for 20 of them and 10 you get. So, but most of the contracts you and we are going to deal with as civilians are, most of them are easy to understand, I think, so most, not all, but most. So.
Right. All right. Well, that's impressive. I give you credit, or it's a good word. I don't know if you ever heard kudos.
Kudos. Yeah, I use it all the time.
Oh, okay. There you go.
On the group too, on our Dustin and Ruben group, I leave comments to my fellow students and say, "Oh, kudos, nice job." I like to be supportive with my peers, and I think it's a good thing, And I do notice when they progress, and I make comments like, "Oh, wow, you're a lot more fluent now. That was great job," So
yeah. All right. Well, kudos. I can't get many things past you, Ben. It's like you're like Dibu Martinez. You're like, you got it. I know kudos.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's a million things, but
well, I did as always throughout the course of the day. If I hear something that I think is like, oh, like maybe Ben might find this funny or might be an expression that he doesn't know, I make note of it. So I have 3 things that I heard.
Okay.
So I can run.
I have a few things for you too. So, but go ahead.
Either way, whatever one you want to start with.
No. Go ahead. I'll
right,
cebo myself a mate.
Okay. Y disfrutes. So 2 of these are more, I don't want to say more like childish, but it's something that like you might hear younger generations say in English. One, you might, your daughters might learn to say it. Are you familiar with pinky promises?
Yes, pinky promises. I am familiar with the expression, but I don't remember. I know that you do this, right?
Right.
Yeah. I just don't recall if those are little promises or like I don't remember exactly. I really don't.
Yeah, it's not anything crazy. It's something that usually like kids do, but sometimes you might hear adults kind of use it as a joke, as like a sort of as a reference to when they were young or something. It's basically just like it's like a promise that you shouldn't break. It's like, so if I'm like, hey Ben, like I need to tell you a secret, and you're like, oh yeah, you can tell me anything. I'm like, pinky promise, like like this is important. So and you do the little kids do the okay. So I guess for anyone who doesn't fully understand, it's it's your pinky fingers at meñique, I think is your pinky finger. Yeah,
meñique.
And it's like 2 people shake meñiques, dar el meñique, and it's for an important promise. So I just thought that's a funny one, and that's something you with your daughters you might be like, all right, like you're gonna do your homework after school, right? And like be like pinky promise, okay, something like that. That's sort of how you would use it.
Right.
So there's that one. There's another one that I feel like is more like what teenagers kind of use. I don't know if older people do, but I heard a friend say it. And it's the idea of, we say calling dibs. Dibs is in DIBS, DIBS. And it's like, it's basically, if you're with a group of friends and you're about to get in the car, someone might be like, oh, I call dibs on sitting in the passenger seat. So like I call that spot, that's my spot. Or like someone might call dibs on like a what's another thing you can call dibs on? Like maybe a specific food, like, oh, I call dibs on that slice of pizza, like that's mine, boom. It's something like you do with friends. It's basically like you're claiming it as your own, is to call dibs. But that's sort of just a funny word, dibs, I thought. And again, something that you wouldn't really come across it unless you heard that expression. So I don't know where it comes from, but again, that's probably more like a younger generational thing. You probably won't. I don't think you'll ever hear your wife use that term.
Right.
But
I never heard it.
Yeah.
If I've heard it, I don't remember, but I don't think I've heard it before. So
yeah, like for example, like one of my friends used it the other day. I was like, oh, that's a funny one. I'll have to use it. So kind of maybe more in this age range. And then the last one, again, you might have used it even when we talked, but is the expression "to be swamped."
Yeah, to be swamped, I think it means like, oh man, I'm so tired, or I think that it means, I think I'm kind of guessing, but I think it also means, or it means like I'm swamped with homework.
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
so much homework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Usually I've always heard it more in like at work. Someone will be like, oh, I'm pretty swamped right now, but I can try to do it next week or something like that.
Right.
But I think that's kind of funny because a swamp is a humedal. And so it's like to be in a swamp, maybe to be swamped. I don't know where that comes from. Ser humedal. But yeah, so that's another one that, when you're talking about like, oh, I'm really swamped editing these videos, but I hope to finish my movie next week or something like that. So again, those are kind of random. They're all over the place, but those are just three that I made note of that I either heard someone say or on the radio or something like that. So there you go. I don't know if you'll ever use any of them, but well, maybe swamped.
No.
And Pinky Promise, I think, is a good one for like kids,
girls.
Your daughters. But
I appreciate it. I love them, and I will use them. And I used the expression "I am swamped" before,
okay.
So I am swamped. But yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I have so I have a few a few notes that I made for you. So the first one I'm gonna ask you that I didn't have in my list, but I forgot to put on my list, but now I remember what it was. Anyway, so I got into I don't know if I told you this, but I learned about this guy who is an Argentine, and his name is Matias Di Stefano. Not Di Stefano, but Di Stefano. Right. And he is a guy he's 32 or something like that, and he's an indigo child, right? So, and he is a guy that when he was a kid, he started to remember past lives, right? So anyway, he has a show in this network called Gaia. So Gaia is kind of a Netflix, but all the themes are meditation and previous lives and the universe and stars and planets and and all this esoteric kind of topics in a way, and it's a pretty scientific network because a lot of the hosts are actually MDs and PhDs, and it's a serious place. It's not like a hippie type of network. And so there is something called, and I'm gonna ask you because that's a word I don't know how to pronounce, and I wonder if you know how to pronounce something called something like that. I'm gonna spell it for you, but let me just say it and explain you what it is first, because maybe you know what it is, and maybe you have no clue. I didn't know what it was, so that's why I wanted to ask you, because I had no idea. and something called the Archias or the Archias records. You know what that? Do you know what those are?
Archive records?
Yes.
Not archive records?
No, the Archias records. I have it right here. I can actually show you. There's a book that the word is on the title of the book, and here's the name. See if you can see. At the Akashic or Akashic
records. Okay, let's see. I've not heard that word before.
Oh, okay.
So we're both new to this, I guess. Akashic.
Okay.
Right. I wonder if it's a last name. Like, is it named after like a scientist? Like,
I'm pretty sure that it isn't.
Okay.
I think that comes from some alien type of language. So I don't know how to say the word. So I was thinking I'm gonna ask Will, because maybe he knows.
I don't know, but I'm reading here. My guess would be Akashic.
Akashic.
It says it comes from a Sanskrit word for the sky or the atmosphere. So there you go. Ya tú sabes. No. Just kidding.
Do you know what those are?
What? Akashic
records.
Is it about, you're talking about the sky or the atmosphere? So is it about aliens?
Yeah, so the Akashic records are the records that from all of our previous lives, all of our previous incarnations. And that is in the memory of our soul, in theory. So there is some doctors who do past life regression therapists. So basically you do a session with them and they help you remember not only this life, but your previous lives. So all of those memories on each one of us are recorded on the Akashic records. So that's what it means.
Interesting. Yeah, I was not familiar with that.
Okay. Good.
And is this, you said it's a book you saw this from? Or
so this is a book called the Akashic Records. I need to hide my face so there you go. So that's a book by Edgar Cayce or Case. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. That guy, he passed away, but yeah. So that's a book, but yeah. So that's a term, like I don't know, like something meditation. It's like it's not his word. It's like it comes from like you told me from whatever,
Sanskrit.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's where this Matías de Stefano is kind of touching. Is reading those records from his own soul, and he remembers, like 8 of his previous past lives, and so on. That was interesting, and I thought that's a word I didn't know how to pronounce. So,
and when you say past lives, is it all like as a human, or is it stuff is like going far enough back to be something else? I don't know. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, Matías de Stefano, he remembers he used to be a citizen of Atlantis. Atlantis used to be a continent. And so Atlantis was, in theory, up above the sea level 30,000 years ago. So he remembers in one of those lives, he was a citizen of Atlantis. And one of the other lives, he was a citizen of this alien civilization, like on a different galaxy, So he remembers that life as well. So, and this is all in theory. I don't know. I can't prove any of this, but this is
Right.
what his show is about. He is now a messenger in this life, and he's here to teach us and show us all these things about the universe. And his show is called Initiation, and it's about the beginnings of the creation of the universe.
Interesting.
And all the 12 different dimensions that we have. We live in the fourth dimension. This is the physical dimension, but then you have the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensions, that we can't see, but there are ways to tap into those dimensions, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, because of all my training is in science, like I need to see some data or something. But that is a really interesting idea. I wasn't familiar with. Would you say indigo children?
Indigo childs are children that are very sensitive about many things, and I do wonder sometimes if I am an indigo child, which I don't know, but when I was reading the description of an indigo child, it's like I feel like they're talking about me in a way, about not me, but about the, I'm sensitive about so many things. Sensitive meaning connected with, not being weak.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting to me because I got into Gaia just to watch Matías de Stefano's show, but then I got into watching some of the other shows when they talk about the brain and all the different areas of the brain, and so many things about how you can set your mind to sometimes even heal yourself and to actually accomplish whatever you want. If you positively reinforce your mind, and there are breathing techniques, so many things. There's a Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's a PhD. And anyway, he's like, if you're interested, it's a lot of, it's very cool, to me, because there's a lot of science on the network,
Right.
And yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Just one little thing. I was curious, not related to this topic, but did you say before to explain to you, or just to explain you? It sounded like I heard just like I wanted to explain you something. I just wanted to see if that was something that maybe just slipped when it came out, or because it's really to explain to you, just to catch something there. I mean, again, your mistakes are so small and rare that I just wanted to I had to catch you on something. I'm sure you could get me on a lot of stuff, but
so which one is the right one? Explain to you or explain you?
Explain to you.
To you. Okay.
So
okay.
Just to, yeah. So like I wanted to explain this to you, or I have something to explain to you. So you can have it to explain to you. Like you have the two twos. So just a little thing.
No, that's great. Thank you.
But I think that was the only thing I caught. Otherwise, you are batting 1,000. Let me say it's a baseball term for hitting a lot of runs.
That's a good expression.
I'm trying to remember. Was there something else you were going to say? I don't know if I cut you off.
No, I think that's pretty much. I'm getting to, because I was following. I wanted to watch Matías de Stefano's show. Then I got into watch all the other things, and I'm learning all these new things, and about the chakras of your body, and and again all the multidimensional the multidimensional nature of the universe. And there are some people who are channelers who actually can connect. They can become channelers from by becoming this channeler, basically these two beings that are on other dimensions that will connect. And there's this one lady from the US who she meditates a little bit and closes her eyes, and there is this being from another dimension who channels, and she starts talking, but it's not her, it's actually that being from another dimension, right, in theory, right? So this is all in theory. Who knows, maybe because she's out of her mind, I don't know, but in theory. And there is a show about in Gaia about channelers, and there are all these interviews with not extraterrestrials, but extra dimensionals. They're called extra dimensionals, which are beings that are in different dimensions that we cannot see, So
now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Right.
No tengo noni. All over the place. This is one other thing I wanted to bring up or ask you a question about. It's a totally different topic. But I was curious if there were any expressions or maybe not like harmful stereotypes, but like anything that comes to mind when you think of the country Ecuador.
Ecuador.
Yeah, I don't know if you know many people from Ecuador, or if it's something. I know it's not particularly close to Argentina, but
no, I don't know. I really don't know anything about Ecuador other than, I always remember that this is the only thing I can think of Ecuador that reminds me that the soccer national jersey of Ecuador is basically the same one as Colombia. It's the same colors, it's yellow and red shorts and red socks. But other than that, I don't know. I don't really know anything about Ecuador. I probably met somebody from Ecuador in the past. There is a girl in our group. I think she is from Ecuador, or I'm pretty sure she's from Ecuador, or from Colombia, but I'm pretty sure she's from Ecuador. But I could be wrong. But I think she's from Ecuador. She's super nice, super nice. And that's it. I know that there is a soccer team called Barcelona, like the one in Spain, but there's also another Barcelona in Ecuador. It's like one of the most important teams. It's called Barcelona. Has the same colors as Barcelona from Spain.
Interesting.
And but yeah, I don't know anything about Ecuadorian culture. I can tell you that I've heard and I had some Ecuador coffee before. Okay. I think Starbucks has Ecuador coffee.
Interesting. Is it something like if you heard people speaking Spanish and you walk by, could you be like, oh, I guess they're from Ecuador? Like, does it have a distinct accent?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you if they are from Ecuador. But there are some distinctive accents that I can distinguish. So somebody who's from Chile, I can pretty, if I hear the Chilean accent, I can say, oh, that guy is from Chile. Colombia and Ecuador, I think the accent is very similar, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure. I will probably always guess Colombia because I met more Colombians than Ecuadorians in my life, and then the other countries, obviously Brazil, is just because it's a completely different country. Paraguay, I can probably tell because the Spanish in Paraguay is very distinctive to me.
At least. Right. It's pretty different. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Then all the countries, Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador, I wouldn't be able to distinguish them. If I hear somebody I wouldn't be able to. Oh, that's from Colombia. That's from Ecuador.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was just curious. My sister's going to Ecuador next week, so
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
and she was asking if I knew any Spanish from Ecuador, and I was like, ni idea. But I was like,
Right.
maybe Ben does. I'll have to ask Ruben and Dustin. Maybe if they've
Right.
worked with someone from Ecuador, but maybe
Yeah,
I'll
you
just
can
have
ask.
my own research too. But
We have one of our students is from, I believe, from either. I think she's from Ecuador. Like what I was saying, because of the soccer jersey that she had from Barcelona, from Ecuador. You may want to ask them if they, get you in contact with her. I mean, I'm happy to. If you want, I can send you her.
I'll send a message to Dustin and Ruben. It's not a big deal. I was just curious again as to someone who's interested in Spanish. And like,
Well,
I
it's
don't really know
sometimes
anything about Ecuador.
sometimes it's a good thing to speak with somebody who lived there, because they can give you really good advice. Especially the most important one is this safety advice.
Yeah.
Safety advice, very important.
Yeah. She'll be going with a group, so at least she won't be like alone, and they'll be.
Well, that's good.
It's for school, so there's teachers and stuff too. So it's.
Okay.
But still, no, I understand what you mean. But I'll have to look up. I'll have to do some more research on Ecuadorian Spanish. Anyway, I just figured I'd ask. But that's all I have. I don't know if there's any last minute things you have, or.
I have a few questions. Just a few. So we can go through these ones quick if you want, because there's nothing super important. But so I heard I have a note here. I don't know if we already talked about this, so you may say, oh yeah, we talked about this, so we can scratch that one out. And I don't know if you told me all this, if you told me about this word, or if I found this word, but I have it on my notes. So the word is Walden's Summit.
Oh yeah, Waldeinsamkeit.
Oh yes, yeah. You told me about that word, right?
Yeah, Waldeinsamkeit is the feeling of being like, it's like the joy of being alone in nature is Waldeinsamkeit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I guess I told you that one. That's one of my favorite words ever, because that's just like a thought that there's no one word to describe that in English. I don't think there's one in Spanish, but it's one word in German, Waldeinsamkeit.
Okay, that's fine. So the next one I have is one for you that I wrote down, and it's a phrase in Spanish that is, es más llenador que torta cruda.
Es más llenador que torta cruda.
Sí. Es más llenador que torta cruda.
Es más llenador de llena. I'll have to look. I don't know if I understand all of that.
Es más llenador que torta cruda.
Is it más llenador, or is it más llenador una palabra?
Es más llenador,
right, okay,
que torta cruda. Sí, llenador is one word, just one word. Let's see if I can. Copy and paste. Es más llenador que torta cruda.
So is it like it's more satisfying than raw cake, or than cake batter?
Yeah, so basically it's kind of an expression, kind of like he's full of shit, or
okay,
this is full of shit,
totally wrong.
Yeah, this article is full of shit, or like this is like, they're trying to the expression vender humo.
Yeah.
Right. It's like it's a nothing burger, right? It's a nothing burger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when somebody's trying to actually add extra content that means nothing, but just for the sake of buffing up an article, or buffing up like a sales offer. It's like es más llenador que torta cruda. He's like full of crap.
Okay. Okay. So llenador, would that be like? Because that's the word I'm not familiar with.
Llenador is filler. It's like filler.
Just filler. Okay.
Filler. Yep.
Makes sense.
Because that's actually how you feel. Like you feel a cake. You fill the cake with all crap. It's like it's like
more filler than like torta cruda is like cake batter, right? Or like cake, raw cake.
Raw cake.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. I've not heard that. And is that? Would you say that's like a common expression? Like if I use that with somebody, like one of my Argentine friends, they would know what that is, or is it sort of like a more rare expression?
No, that's a more rare expression. I actually never heard that expression before until I saw that expression on a soccer article.
Okay.
And the guy was talking about the article was like, like full of crap, and he used that expression, and just hire some. He said something like also like, oh, you should hire a different journalist to write on this paper, and él es más llenador que torta cruda. Like it's like he's full of crap. Why you're letting this guy write an article about nothing? It's like sometimes they do those articles because they have to write articles. Like also it was another article about Messi. Messi's on vacation right now, and in Ibiza in Spain. I mean, he's a multimillionaire. He has the right to be on vacation, and the article said, "Oh, Messi is careless in Ibiza until he signs a new contract." And it's like, no, he's not careless. He's just, he just played, 80 games in the last 6 months. Finally, he has a vacation. I mean, why you have to say that? Poor guy, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So
yeah, I know what you mean, and I understand now. Llenador que torta cruda. I like it. I'll try to use it. I'll see what someone says if they're like, what is that?
So the next one I have is like an expression my wife used today, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna write that for Will." And she said she said the expression, and I never heard this expression before. So she said, "You snooze, you lose."
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
She told me that the way you need to say it is not the way you write it, but you need to say you snooze, you lose. Also using a Z on the last word. So
yeah, I guess you snooze, you lose. Yeah, it got lose in this case kind of sounds like loose, like light almost. Snooze, you lose. It's kind of more of a loose. Snooze, you lose. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because you usually say it pretty fast. And yeah, I'm sure we don't pronounce it exactly how it's written. I mean, that's pretty standard for English, unfortunately. But
is that
you understand the meaning of it?
Yeah. So she told me that basically if you keep sleeping, you lose whatever, right? Whatever thing you were going.
So snooze is a funny way of saying to sleep, and you also like on your alarm clock you have the snooze button,
right?
But it's people use it a lot, like don't miss out on an opportunity. So like maybe you want to buy a soccer jersey and there's a sale tonight, and you're like maybe I'll do it tomorrow, and it's like, well, if you snooze you lose. Like you're not gonna you're gonna miss that opportunity. Or like, if you show up for, if you're, someone's like, you're eating food with people order a pizza, your friends, and like you show up 5 minutes late and they ate most of the pizza, be like, well, you snooze, you lose, like should have been here earlier.
Is that an expression that you use often or not really?
It's a pretty common one. I think it's just because it's fun to say, the words rhyme. Hopefully, you're not missing out on too many things, so people will have to be like, oh, Ben, you snooze, you lose. But it's sort of, it's a good one just to like, you can use it in a lot of different situations. It's a pretty useful expression in that sense, and it's lighthearted. It's not like you're not being mean to someone, like you're not like saying that they can't do something, or it's like, oh, you snooze, you lose,
Right.
it ja fue, just like it happened. So yeah, I think it's a good one to use a little bit more if you can. I use it quite a bit.
Okay. And the next one I have is like, I have two more. So this one and one more, and I'm done. So this one is about pronouncing the R. So here's what I mean. So a lot of, I noticed a lot of people do pronounce the V, the V corta, correctly. But when it comes to pronouncing the R, I noticed that the native speaker in the United States pronounce it like differently, and I just don't understand. I don't understand why, or if you should do it that way. So let me give you an example with the word very, right? Very, right?
Yep.
So people will say very, 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 but if I can pronounce the V correctly, very, 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 but when it comes to the R, I think I am pronouncing it correctly, very, very, very. But I noticed that many people pronounce it this way. It's a very, very. It's like this re. And I noticed that most Spanish speakers cannot pronounce re. It's like this kind of like very, very, this is very well done, or this is very early, or, but it's this sound that most Spanish speakers don't do. And, but they still, I still think that I'm pronouncing it correctly when I say very, 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 when you're speaking it fast. But even native speakers, when they speak fast, they go very, very. So, and that's kind of the question. It's like, is that a thing? Is that something, so I don't know.
Well, so I'll say it, and you let me know if you think I'm pronouncing it like that. So I'm very thankful for your birthday present. I'm very,
yeah.
I don't know. To me, it sounded like you like the way you said it normally sounded fantastic to me, because you did do a great job with the V, and it was, the R was defined, but it wasn't like very, like, you don't have to put so much emphasis on it. So I wouldn't worry that you're not pronouncing it right. As for why native speakers pronounce it the way they do, I can't say it's something I've noticed. I'll have to pay attention for it now. Maybe it's just something that always, flew under the radar.
I do notice that, like, you pronounce it that way very quickly. So, like, you just said the word radar, and the word you use, the two R's, are like, at least to me, they sound like roar, but really fast. When you say radar, 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 radar. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to explain it better.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of maybe more of like a kind of like, I don't know if you know the word growl, but it's like it's sort of the noise like a bear makes or something. It's like it sort of like maybe starts a little bit more in the throat, but maybe not. It might be more. See, this is where I'm not Ruben, so I don't know all the phonetic stuff, but really, I hear it there, like really, really, r, 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 very, 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 very. Yeah, I don't know I'm trying to figure out like how I even make that noise. Radar, radar. So, I don't know if you've ever. This might be a dumb example. This may not help at all. But if you've ever heard like a dog, and sometimes like a dog, if it hears something, it doesn't completely bark, but it kind of does like a
Right.
like sort of like that, like radar, radar,
Right.
rough, right. It's sort of it's not like a full vibration, but you're kind of just like, instead of like a trill, it's more of like a a creaky door, you know, like a so, but we do it fast, I guess. So very, radar, right. It's interesting you picked up on that. I can't say I've ever noticed, but like I said, I mean, the way you said very sounded really good to me. So I can look into it more and try to explain better out. But in the moment right now, I'm not sure I have a great explanation for it.
Well, the thing is, like, when somebody, when a native like you or my wife pronounce the R, I think that's one of the sounds that make you sound more native if you pronounce it with that kind of a roundness or that kind of a groundness, or it's like, it's not like very, it's like very, I'm exaggerating, but the sound very, it's like super quick, but to me it sounds more like do you see what I'm saying? More like, I will say rounded, or it's more like,
yeah, it's a little different. I hear what you're saying. So if you just try doing like the like just a sort of it's sort of like with your teeth, the very, very, very,
very. Yeah, I can mimic. I can do it. What I don't know, if what I'm not really sure, if I don't do it, if it still sounds native. I mean, I know it sounds correct, but I wonder if it still sounds native or not, because I've listened.
It still sounds native. I think, like the way you say it, like for example, very is great. I know what Dustin and Ruben always teach for people in English who have a hard time trilling the R, like, re or whatever, is they tell them to pronounce it as if it's like two T's. So like gotta, like beta, 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 and it's sort of like beta de, and it's like sort of a flap. But I think that it's sort of the opposite for a Spanish speaker in English. Like they might say like it's a very, it's sort of like a very. It's not like a clean R. It kind of sounds more like two T's, like a flap. So right. I think it's just the opposite for us. Like English people have a hard time doing the flap because we do more of a so as long as you're not doing that, you're not saying it's very, or something like that. You're very. You have and the V, I guess, is also the really important part. Maybe I'm focusing more on the very. I can't do a great impression, but I don't think it sounds. It sounds native to me the way you said it. So I don't think you have to worry about roaring.
Okay.
But it's impressive you picked up on that. And I've always said too that I think the letter R is a big difference, or that sound is a big difference between different accents in English. Like the American R is kind of more like that, kind of like rough sounding. British is more like an ah. It's like a open mouth kind of. Irish is kind of like ar. It's like in the front, like park. The park. What do you put in there with your rough? It's sort of like a more in the front. And Scottish is kind of more like really. It's kind of more in the back. So I don't know. It's the R though is really does a lot of different accents. So if you're going for the American English thing, I think it's more of a it's more of that, kind of like you said that.
Yeah, because with all the native speakers of English I met in my life, including you, my wife, Ruben, they are. It's always like that. It's like really like that's one of the most distinctive sounds of a native speaker is the R. Like like not Betty, but because many Spanish speakers they say that's very good, very good. It's like very good. That's very good. It's hard for me to pronounce that R very quick, like you do, or like my wife, whatever. But when I do it slowly, I think I can get the sound, which is very, very, very. And I notice that's when I hear that R pronounced that way, I know that person is a native,
Well, and it might be something too, and this might be helpful in a lot of ways, is and maybe Ruben will hear this and be like, no, don't do that. That's bad. But I find that the more natural sounding sounds are because like people aren't pronouncing stuff as clearly. So maybe try to pronounce a word like while moving your lips and teeth as little as possible. So instead of like very, just do like very, very, like, because when you're talking in day to day, I feel like and you start talking faster, you're not going to do as much like defined. That is very nice. It's gonna be like, oh, that's very nice. If you see like the difference in movement. So maybe if you try saying very, very.
You just said the word faster, and the way you pronounced the R was like super native to me, obviously, because you're a native. But it's and the phrase you use, faster, I can hear that from you.
Faster.
Yeah, it's like this really, rich and round native R, American R.
It's a great point. So what I'll do is I can talk to Ruben about it. I feel like he'll know all the nitty gritty, and we can bring this up next time we talk. I think it'll be a good conversation. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people have doubts about, but at the moment I don't have any detailed explanation other than just trying to sound it out and figure it out in the moment as well. So,
Okay.
But no, I'll definitely come back to that. It's a good question. The bigger thing, like I said, though, is I think, at least in the example of very, is just really make sure it's a really clean V sound, not B, like not very. It's very, very. Like make sure it's a clean V, which I know sometimes for Spanish speakers is tough. But
Okay.
Like I said, I'll talk to Ruben and we'll go over this next time we talk for sure.
Okay.
But I do have to get going for now.
I have one last one, very quick.
Oh yeah, sure.
Last one. So there's an expression I use with my wife every time I need to use the toilet, and I use the expression "I'm pooping my pants." I'm pooping my pants. So what I mean is like, I really need to use the bathroom right now, right? So I'm pooping my pants. I can't keep talking. I really need to go. I'm pooping my pants. I'll be right back, So I use that expression all the time with my wife. I poop in my pants. So my wife comes back to me and she replies to me, Mike Pence, like the ex-vice president of the United States. So my question is, do they both sound exactly the same, or there is a difference on the pronunciation? Because I asked her and she said, "Oh, my pants. I don't know. So she doesn't know. And I thought, well, I'll ask Will, maybe he knows. So
The
that's my
difference
last
between
question.
pants and pence. I don't know. I
And
don't
the
know. I
difference
didn't watch
between the difference between my pants, meaning PANTS, my
Right.
pants, my pants, the name of the ex vice president of the United States, Mike Pence. So is there any difference when you're talking, or not really? Because you have 222, right? The number two, the word to, and the word me too, right? So they
Yeah.
sound the same. 222, they sound exactly the same, even though there are three different words and they mean three different things. So in the case of in the case of my pens or Mike Pence, when you are speaking, do they sound exactly the same, like 222, or not? There is actually a difference.
To me, they sound different.
Okay.
Which I think is why I was kind of confused by the question. But I could see how they could sound the same. Like I know, for example, there was one time where I used to get it mixed up if someone said has ido versus ha sido. Like something like that, where it sort of sounds like. But so I understand what you're saying, but I think the K in Mike is a big, instead of my Mike, I think like that, if it's pronounced correctly, that should be a big difference. And then pants and then pence, like the vowels are a little different.
Right. No, the confusion was, and it's always been, because to me, at least to my, I don't have a native ear, but to me it sounds just the same when I'm saying, I'm pooping my pants, and she'll say my pants. And, to me, it's just such a small difference that it's so hard for me to actually notice there is a difference.
Yeah, I guess like
in conversation, right? We're talking about conversation, you're having, you're not really spelling, in a conversation and say, "Oof, I'm pooping my pants," and she will say, "My pants," or she will say, "What about my pants? What about my pants?" So, and it's like, to me, it sounds like the same, So,
to me, again, maybe it's just a native thing. Like I think I'd have a hard time confusing the two. Like, but maybe it's just because I know, like, you would never say that you're pooping Mike Pence. At least I don't think you would be.
Right.
So that's really interesting. I didn't understand the question at first. I'm like, what does Mike Pence have to do with it? But I see what you're saying, pence and pants. Pence, it's sort of like more of an S, like pence, whereas pants.
But you see that thing is so close that my wife didn't know what to tell me.
I'm sort of in the same boat. I'm sort of in a similar situation. I'm not really sure what to explain to you. Mike Pence, my pants. To me, I think the vowels are different enough that it should be okay. But if you're saying it fast, it's it's like, I think my example of has ido.
Right.
Just sort of like, it's just, if you're saying it really fast, someone might get hung up on it. But I don't think you have to worry about that with native speakers, especially because of the context of the sentence.
Right.
It should, people will know what you're saying. But
right. Yeah. I don't want to be unrespectful to the vice president. So, but I have never had that intention. But I was just wondering, because to me, it's quite confusing. And maybe people can leave your comments and let us know how does it sound to you.
Yeah, my pants. Have you seen those the viral things that go around of like, is this dress? What color is this dress? And some people see it as blue, and some people see it as like gold. I don't know if you ever saw that. A few years ago, there was this big thing where it was like a photo, and some people see it's like a woman's dress, and some people see the dress is blue, and some people see it as white and with like gold trim. It's like an optical illusion that some people's eyes see different colors. But that's what it'd be like. It'd be like, do you hear, when I say this, do you hear my pants or Mike Pence? an illusion to people. But
Right. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and
No.
happy birthday. And
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you not this Thursday, but the following, right? The following
Yeah,
Thursday.
we're doing
And,
every other week. So.
If you let me know if you can do it, so we'll change the date. But at
No, it
least we
should be
have
good.
kind of
As far as at least as you know, as far ahead as I know now, I should be good.
Friday, right? We said Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Friday. Okay. Yeah. Not this upcoming Friday, but the following. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. So nice talking to you, my friend. Happy birthday.
It was a pleasure.
God bless you. God bless your family.
You as well. Stay healthy. And,
I will.
Next time.
All right. Have a good night. Ciao. See ya.